Heck, when was it? Was it last week? I think actually it was last week when I was on the way home from shopping. I was about to cross a bridge, and before I even entered, which I looked down and there's just, you know, there's just one red running from the left to the right, and then there's another red running from right to left, and I'm like, ah, yeah, a big city. That's great, isn't it? Actually, you also have your little coin toss, don't you? Pretty sure that is pretty me too. Yeah, just back discount. I haven't absorbed my CP, I kinda need those. That was not ideally positioned. Not at all. Pick that up. Can't really afford to let anything sit around because we do need shit to sell. Since this is the first time we're playing this, first round, there's no new game plus, we are going to very quickly realize that equipment is actually rather pricey. And that's not gonna be easy for us to handle. Strange visions. How could he have slept by without alerting any of the monsters? Dun, 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 dun. That's a lot of monsters. I might want to heal myself before I engage that. For some mystical reason, I have a distinct feeling that I should probably do so. It's a large group. Advantage. Yeah, pretty basic setup. Stun them. Deploy a shot and get advantage. Yeah, better. You're not gonna hit me anyway, stupid little creature. Meanwhile, ... Oh, one doesn't sound so happy.
Taku. 便利なのはいいが疲れやすいのが難点だな。まあ腐っても第5世代軍の虎の子だっただけはある。汚職将校からゆすりネタと引き換えに巻き上げといてよかったぜ。さてとこれからどうするか。物はあそこに隠しておけばそうそうは見つからねえはずだ。なんとか A に高値で売りつけるが、どこぞの研究所やメーカーに持ち込むか。アークライドが連れてたあの小娘、物の進化を知ってそうだったな。こましがいがありそうだし、なんとかやつを出し抜いてみるか。うまくいきゃミラだけじゃなくて虎ぬたぬきのなんとやらだな。
Yeah, you have some visitors.
そう反応するということは
やはりあの場所にいたわけか。
半グレどもの動きを掴んだ上で警察に情報を流して漁夫の利か。なかなか優秀な情報屋じゃないか。
待て、俺が悪かった。盗んだ物はちゃんと返す。ミラや情報なんかもサービスする。女神に誓ってあんたら A に立てつくつもりなんて。
もう遅い。
我らを甘く見たこと、恐怖を持ってあがなうがいい。
Gee, if you fuck off around, you'll find out. If you fuck around with the mafia, you'll find out. A very, very unfriendly way.
ジャコモの声だ。ついてこい。ただし背中から離れんな。
Hey, that's why you're not supposed to be doing that.
来たかよ。
一体何が起こって。
Hey, you little drone. Okay, that's a bit of a waste. Nice. Extra damage. Glow hammer. Usually that she starts out at level 3 and he's level 5. It's like, it's not that much of a difference now, is it? Actually, it's a very, really small difference. I don't think the game's gonna allow me to go further, will it now? Yeah. Look, it's a bloody corpse. I don't think you need to help him any longer.
手遅れだ。もう事切れてる。
This is a really strange feeling in a Trails game to just see a bloodied corpse. Like, strange. Alien almost, one might say.
獲物はナイフ。いや、マチェットか。お前たち、何をしている？
Ah, great.
これは。うわっ。
What do you think happens when you slit somebody's throat? I'm pretty bloody.
任意聴取をしようとした矢先にか危ない橋を渡っていたようだがどうやら一通りの事情を聞かせてもらう必要がありそうだな。
Now we're gonna go into prison, I suppose. Or at least interviewed. I do love the phrasing there. They will volunteer themselves into questioning. We're totally made to volunteer, mind you. Absolutely not, no. They volunteered. You are one who is openly saying like, yeah, I'm kinda, you know, getting a bit dangerously close of the line. What is legal and what is not is very much volunteering himself for questioning. That's a pretty damn loaded question you're asking there, Miss Female Detective.
いい加減にしろバーン・アークライド。あの整備路には偶然入っただけ？連れの子には社会科見学させていた？
I know, coincidences happen. Actually, from a law perspective, this is rather interesting, isn't it? If it is private property, if it is not clearly signified as such, though, if the city doesn't put up a nice little sign saying like this is private property, don't enter it, actually means I can't even get you for that. And since you are free to move wherever the fuck you want in the public place, so long as you're not causing any trouble, by, for example, you know, littering or violently attacking somebody, for example, police can't really do much against you. But if you say, well, it's a coincidence that I was here when the body was found, then yeah, I kind of have to take you at your word, for the most part. Unless, of course, you know, we apply some modern science and they're like, we found your fingerprints all over the dead body, then that gives a bit more of a probable cause. You know, we're just, you know, explorers, adventurers. We like dark tunnels. What a nice gesture. Just, you know, ah.
どうやら噂以上に一筋縄じゃいかん若造のようだな。刃こそついていないとはいえ、見たこともない武器に最新式の戦術動力機。
Well, I mean, you know, if it's a weapon that it's a sword without a blade. It's more like a stick then, so you can't really call that illegal, now can you? I don't think it's illegal to possess a state-of-the-art weapon as well. Last I heard, at least.
ここ数年の業績内容も限りなくグレーで非合法のラインをギリギリで見極めている。
What a pain in the ass it is to deal with the cops, though.
こちらがその気になれば、いつでも謙虚に切り替えられるんだぞ。自分で言うな自分で。まったく調子の狂う若造だ。
ええ、まともに相手をするだけ無駄ですよ。失礼。今回の件で協力を要請した CID のものです。カルバード中央情報省分析室所属キンケイドです。この度はジャコモコンテの捜索に協力していただいて感謝します。ま、一歩及ばず釣れたのは別の小物のようですが。
I'm probably gonna move my finger around, isn't it? I actually can't see his nice little face when he's talking.
分析官、それでは自分はこれで。
ああ、例のルートは任せた。室長への報告も頼む。
CID 中央情報省の方だそうですね。
らしいな。若手だが結構やりそうだ。そんなやり手を顎で使うとは随分出世したじゃねえか、ルネ。
え？
ルネと呼ぶなと言っただろう。久しぶりだな、バン。直接顔を合わせるのは3年ぶりか。
あれを顔合わせと言っていいかは疑問だがな。相変わらずの切れ味じゃねえか、この鬼畜メガネが。
お前ほどじゃないさ、スプリガン。裏技に絡めて持ち前のしぶとさを最大限に生かしている意味ではな。
You know, gotta let any figures.
言ってろ。
現在うちはジャコモをやった2人組を探している。わずかだがあの整備室に痕跡を残していた2人組よ。
さすが仕事が早いじゃねえか。となると
お前の鼻の良さとうさんくさい人脈だけは勝っている。そちらのお嬢さんの依頼とやらにも関知はしない。代わりに何か分かれば連絡しろ。さっきの借りを返す意味でもな。
連絡先を交換したわよ。
面白いフォローを使っているな。ところでバン、あいつには連絡したのか？まだまだ青いな。それではお嬢さんもお気をつけて。
And off he goes on his merry, merry way. Applying himself as an elder, and I'm sitting here like I can literally feel the dust in my lungs. And on we go on a merry little way.
ちょっといいですか？
Oh, rude.
今警察署から出てきましたよね。どこかで殺人事件があったそうですけど、それ関連で呼ばれたとかですか
？Catch the press.
タイレル通信新人記者のマリエル・エーメって言います。社会部に配属されたばかりで、とある方面から小耳に挟みまして、事件について何かご存知だったり、ぜひぜひコメントを。 切にありがとうございます。見てなさいよ、リンゴブラッド。今度こそ出し抜いてやるんだから。
災難だったようだな。任せておけ。
Well, yeah, deflection is a pretty valuable tactic, especially if it gets attention away from you. Can't really argue with that. Spending some time outside does not sound...
日中の喧騒が消えて落ち着いた雰囲気ですね。
こっちじゃねえな。
Yeah, of course not.
それもまたこ
I guess we could check out the shop down there. Actually...
ここは何のお店ですか？
Okay.
車の整備屋。
Don't think fishing was the
男
thing
のロ
yet.
マンが詰まった場所だな。
Witcher, fair enough. Hello, police car. Bye bye, police car. What do you have? What? A lot of cool things. That's a nice reminder that I don't have the money for that. Yep, getting my hands on all of these items is going to ruin me financially for the foreseeable future, I can tell as much. But well, it is what it is. And before we continue, I'll excuse myself for just a moment. Take a pee and get myself a new drink. It is really nice and relaxing, isn't it? At least to me it is. Means I'm probably gonna sit here for a few more hours and make up for lost time today. After all, that is precisely what it is. That must be what I'm feeling nice and giddy inside. These games really do wonders for my mental health, so to speak. Makes me all feel nice and fuzzy inside. Is there an option from here to... no, I don't think there is. Actually... Oh yeah, this is from the other version I have. The game. Sadly, the Shash games are not directly compatible, so I can't actually use them. Bit of a shame, that. Let's see here. There, look, nightmare difficulty. Yay! Lots of bunny ears. Actually, these precise bunnies are the main reason why I can't actually use these save games, to be fair. Let's get rid of them because they're kinda in the way. And I kinda would like to keep the same order I have always kept going. Still not what I put into the game, I'll tell you when I want to save. That is also not really reasonable, so we're gonna probably go for the same system we had before. Save game there. Oh well. Not really too bothered. I mean, it's kind of going to be a pain in the ass to play the game up to that point again, but gives me an excuse to play it. So, what can I say? Yes. Game is nice enough to warn you, like, your story will advance when you go in there.
待っていたわよ、バンちゃん。そろそろ来るんじゃないかと思ったわ。そっちの可愛い子ちゃんが依頼者かしら。制服が似合ってるわね。私はベルモッティ。このお店のオーナー兼バーテンダーでね。バンちゃんとはただならぬ関係でもあるわ。
A Ramda. I've not used one of those in a long while.
ここ数年の奴の拠点を送った監視カメラのログ付きだ。ちなみに昨日の時点でどこかの弾が動いている気配はない。せいぜい気をつけてよ。
さぞご立派な貸しなのでしょうね。そちらの常連というのは風の噂で聞いていたけど、まさかこんなタイミングで出くわすなんてね。
そうだな。たくルネのやつといい、どんな日だっつうの。
こそこそしていたものね、あなた。よっぽど後ろ暗いところがあるみたいだし。警察署に連行されたことだって半分以上は自業自得といったところかしら。
否定はしねえが、早速聞きつけてきやがったか。
ええ、そこの現場も見せてもらった。ジャコモ氏は問題人物だったけど、情報屋として何度か接触していたから。それより捜査官さんたちとタイレルの女記者さんが怒っていたわよ。引っかき回して掴むやり方、相変わらずみたいね。
さて何のことかね。くそ、さすがにやりづれえな。
はじめまして、エレインよ。いきなり割り込んでごめんなさい。
That's an interesting new thing to happen. Let me check that out for a minute. Like, are you sure you're okay? Makes you wonder if it is okay. Yay, no, can hear myself echo. That is a good start. Yay, no, can hear myself echo. That is a good start. Yay, no, can hear myself echo. Let's not do that then. Just assume everything is working as intended. Although that was, as I said, rather interesting. Haven't had that happen in a while. Let's see here.
お互い忙しいでしょうし、積もる話はまたいずれしましょう。この先は早い者勝ち。CID や警察、私たちも含めてね。言うまでもなく、彼らも。もう察していると思うけど、この先はきちんと線引きしなさい。ジャコモ氏を殺めた二人組、おそらく A よ。
だろうな。一つ仮にしてやる。
Give me 1 second. Well, that's okay, I suppose. I have a distinct feeling it is the 7th district. Why? Well, because of when you played this game, of course.
次は極オーベル地区大聖堂前となります。大聖堂やアラミス高等学校へお越しの方は
Free SP. Oh, that's a nice thing.
大聖堂前、大聖堂前、左側の扉が開きます。ご注意ください。
おい。
ごめんなさい。わがままを言って。でも、あの探し物は私にとっては絆なんです。ひいおじいちゃんだけじゃなく、お母さんやおばあちゃんとの、それだけじゃなくて、人が一人亡くなって。足手まといかもしれないですけど、それでも自分の目で足で最後まで立ち会って見届けたいんです。安全には最大限注意します。どんな指示にも従えるよう備えます。ですからダメでしょうか。
しゃあねえ。クライアントはあんただ。獲物にアーツもそれなりに使える。全くの足手まといでもねえしな。だがてめえの安全を最優先しろ。俺の指示にも即座に従ってもらう。守れない場合は契約終了だ。いいな。はい、
ありがとうございます。
Yeah, isn't it pleasant? Would be kind of pain in the ass to do this with just one fighter, to be fair. Which is, I'm not against joining us. In fact, quite the opposite, actually. I would say it's rather enjoyable.
イーディス中央駅、イーディス中央駅、大陸横断鉄道各地方への乗り換えは
Couldn't be asked to translate that now, could they? Oh, it's just an announcement going like, Edith Central Station. Which were not too impressive, but you know, could have done it. Could have done it if they wanted to. Hmm.
いい
Hmm.
です
Hmm.
中央駅、イーディス中央駅、大陸横断鉄道各地方への乗り換えは
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
18時45分になりました。この時間のニュースをお伝えします。本日15時、バンタイユ地区大統領府でグラムハート大統領が定例会見を開きました。主な内容はエレボニア帝国からの賠償金が年内に終了することについての今後の見通しです。
Right, technically speaking, that does would require some previous knowledge from previous games to get. The reason why Erebonia is paying reparations to Calvard.
2年前、一方的に侵略戦争を仕掛けてきた帝国に我々は寛大な心でその過ちを許しました。
You were willing to forgive it for an exuberant amount of money, which is kinda how it goes in politics, you know, most problems can be solved with enough money.
代償たる賠償金の総額は莫大なものでしたが、それらは全て正当なもの。数百年もの暴虐を水に流し、大陸諸国の一員として復帰する手助けすらした対価とも言えるでしょう。
Well, I mean, I could explain to you why precisely this happened. It's a bit more complicated than just saying, you know, past grievances. Although it's not too far from the truth. A bit more difficult.
我が国と帝国はクロスベルも含めかつてないほど平穏な関係を築くに至っています。その礎となった賠償金が年内に終了するにあたり、景気低迷を案じる声もありますが、全くの杞憂です。
Yes, but you know, without the great financial crisis that came about, Germany would have never been in a position where they would have to, you know, start printing money in exuberant amounts, to the point of making it absolutely worthless. It was a very different time. But hey, this is one of these scenarios that does require some previous knowledge, and of course, I personally would highly recommend playing, at least if you can't stomach the more old-timey graphical presentation of the Trails in the Sky series or the Crossbill saga. At least play Trails of Cold Steel. Absolutely worth it, mind you. It's a grand story that spans at this point 5 games, so you definitely have more than enough to do play-wise. But yeah, Calvard is an interesting play. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of mixing cultures, ever since it has become a republic and stopped being a monarchy. And of course, it's not really a place without its problems, and getting a massive amount of money coming into the country, of course, is doing wonders for its stability. Which is not really surprising, mind you. Especially if you have such a hotbed of potential nationalistic terrorism in your own midst. You can do a lot to hinder them, because, you know, usually, and precisely what the Nazis did originally, they pointed out all the weaknesses of the current system and the problems it causes towards people. And, you know, if you're one of said people and you're sitting around all day and asking desperately for work because you kind of want to feed yourself and your family, hearing somebody going like, yeah, I'm going to change that, is a very convincing argument. Which is the whole reason why economic stability is very, very important for most countries. And so Calvard for the last 2 years has actually enjoyed a rather peaceful, nice time. And of course they have used it so to invest heavily into themselves. And there are many problems actually that led to the, in the end, rise of the Nazis. But part of the problem is that they also appeared at a time when people were really desperate. The Great Financial Crisis has led to the usual response that Germany always has when things get tough, instead of what the Americans, for example, did. When the financial crisis hit, the Americans, the American government, that is, started spending massively on their own economy, while the German government decided to start saving money by cutting back on social securities and everything else, basically, which left a lot of people out in the cold, and very vulnerable, and vulnerable people are very much kind of audience you want if you have a radical movement that should grow. It's not possible. In the end, though, and that is a point that people always tend to forget, it was not like the Nazis actually got properly voted into power as they had originally intended to do. I mean, the original plan was violence. That failed, horribly. then they went like, okay, let's try that political system they've got going and see if we cannot, you know, sneak in through that. They could, but they couldn't actually get where they needed or wanted to be. And in the end, they had to misuse the system's more emergency protocols to get where they wanted. Bit of a problematic situation, that one. Which is also why we, for example, have introduced a 5% hurdle for the parties, amongst other things, to make our system a bit less vulnerable to potential interference from the outside. No, the Nazis were not really where they needed to be through just democratic means. In order to do so, they would needed an absolute majority, which they never got. They got enough voters. I think they got, like, in the best years, like somewhere between 35 to 37% of votes, which is amazing. That is something most modern parties in Germany can only dream of. But in order to actually achieve the goals that they had set out for themselves and had so proudly proclaimed not only to the masses but also to the industrialists, who very much were also on the side of the Nazis, which is quite interesting. The Nazis, of course, have proposed themselves as a workers' party, basically, but they also had very, very intimate ties to the industrialists of the time, and the industrialists were very much interested in the Nazi parties and what they could do for the economy, of course. As well as interesting. But to go back to the thematic here, yeah, Calvert actually had to enjoy the great moment. A lot of people are, of course, now getting worried with the the vast numbers of monies coming into the country, slowly but surely coming to an end, that things might be heading into a bad direction. And it's not really a good scenario.
2年にわたる経済成長、資本の蓄積、技術革新はカルバードを大陸最大の国家へと成長させました。
I mean, they did, and that's not really a bad idea.
もはや我々を上回る国家は存在し得ない。ですが当然、その状況に慢心はできません。ゼムリア大陸を世界を主導する立場として、今後は帝国も含めた
Fair enough, at the moment at
大陸
least.
諸国を導くことこそが
Pretty much, Calvert should be at the moment the most prosperous nation on Samaria. They got out of the war with relatively minor losses. They enjoyed quite the economic growth and all of that. So technically speaking, in a pretty good position. And they did invest actually heavily into all of that. They bolstered the infrastructure, so it's a bit of an interesting cultural thing, but the Erebonians, for the most part, are very much into the whole railway system, which is far superior of an option, if you ask me. While Calvert is more of a buses and transporters on street system, so they actually bolstered a lot of their infrastructure when it comes to their streets. They're not really that train heavy, which seems ridiculously stupid, because honestly you should absolutely be train heavy if you want to bolster your industries, because, well, industries need to transport massive amounts, tons upon tons of materials around, and a normal truck can just not compete with a fucking train when it comes to the amount of shit you can transport with it. You're still gonna need a lot of streets and big streets, but not nearly as much. Also, the amount of personal cars owned in Calvert is a lot higher. So it's a very different thing, culturally speaking. But yeah, even the military does need, or ideally should have, quite the access to a good and broad railway net system, because you can transport faster and you can transport more. And the amount of resources the military needs to get it at least closer to where you are, and then have it put on trucks and moved like that, it just saves a lot of time. And when it comes to mobilization, that's really important, because you kind of need to do this fast, and that means you need to get a lot of people from point A, the bases basically, towards the potential front line. And what are kind of important. Just imagine the amount of supplies you need: munitions, food, water. Get it close to where you need it to be by train, then put it on trucks and get it moving to a supply base, and hope to God that nobody finds your supply base and bombs that, because oh boy. Yeah, transporting tanks by train is actually a good option. However, it of course means the tank has not nearly as much mobility as it could have, which means it does become an easy target. A train is an easy target. It's easy enough to see the tracks. the train can only go on the tracks. Easy enough to target that, of course. So when you are in the heat of a war and you don't have air superiority over your own supply lines, yeah, you're gonna be fucked. But well, as I said before, you know, the first step of a war is always to mobilize, and mobilizing means getting all of your troops where they need to be, getting them all of the material and a bit extra for, you know, the next future incoming nonsense. So in that regard, brains are superior. So long as you can keep the enemy at bay at the front line and don't have them actually in your backside where your supply lines are going to run, trains will still be the superior option. If that is not the case, well, then trucks are your only option. And even them are not that hard to hit, because streets also are pretty easy to spot from the sky. And generally speaking, most trucks heavily loaded with goodies can also not just move through the countryside, sadly enough. A troop transporter can to some degree, of course. The tank can to some degree. Even the tank can get stuck in mud though, so you know, you also kind of would avoid moving a tank through too rough of a terrain, obviously. Especially the heavier variants that we had in the Second World War. You have a heavy tank like a fucking Panther or a Tiger. Yeah, drive that through a muddy area, that thing is gonna get stuck. Which, not really good. But yes. Even before that, during the Victorian Age, actually before that, when we still had the what was it called? The Holy Alliance between Russia and Austria. A lot of people weren't expecting Russia to outright be too interested in getting involved in an active war against any of these former great allies. However, in the end of the day, it's Austria's fault. Austria was the one who broke off the Holy Alliance first, and ever since then, things were a bit more messy than they needed to be. That's a complicated part of history where a lot of things happen at the same time, then later on that kind of led to a lot of problems and a lot of hatred amongst the major players on the continent, sadly enough. But well, surprisingly enough, with the introduction, or the widespread rather, of guns, training became less important for the most part. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how a gun works. You might not be good at it, but then again, you know, if you have thousands of people with guns, it gets the job done as well. Same actually with most military vehicles. They might not be comfortable, not at all, but they're not really that hard to move and control. But doesn't really take that long to get them at least in a, not even decent, but in a at least workable state, sadly. The Guild. Probably not a good idea to show our faces there. The Guild is always going to be the absolute white knight in shining armor. And they're not really taking too well to people like Van doing the more grey work. The Uncorruptible Guild. That's the idea of how many children can you beat in a fight. That depends, honestly. Let me tell you something, you know. Yeah, I've seen many great scenes about this when a child picks up weapon and people act like fucking idiots, because what you should do in such a case is, you know, do exactly what the child tells you to, because it has a fucking gun. Guns change everything. Guns make even a child capable of killing quite a few adults easily enough, because, well, it's a fucking gun. I know, honestly, if the rats are desperate enough to attack a fucking dog, then I'm gonna make damn sure the dog has no option fucking to run. That's the whole idea. Because usually that is something that comes from starvation. You starve an animal for long enough, that's actually something we tried and rather effectively did in when we trained animals for warfare. If you starve them enough, and then you make them aggressive enough, and then you unleash them, they're gonna be very, very nasty little creatures. Not really something I want to think about. It's part of human ingenuity, but not really a part I enjoy, to put it mildly. We really shouldn't do it. Especially not to animals, who are, by and large, very much incapable of understanding the situation they're in. There was something I wanted to do in the settings at some point. I kind of forgot what it was, though. God fucking damn it. Yeah, put off motion blur, because I hate motion blur. Motion blur is part of the thing that makes me so fucking sick all the fucking time. That's something I was looking for. I just don't remember what it was now. It's one of those moments where it's like, I don't fucking know. That probably means it's not important. Yeah, it probably wasn't important. Oh well. But yes, human history, and especially the more warfare side of it, is absolutely amazingly interesting. However, it's also, of course, not without problems. Oh yeah. I mean, one of the easiest way to make an animal aggressive and quite of a bloody threat is, of course, to just starve them enough so that they will attack something. Just for food. Of course, there are also other options that you can train them. The police also trains their dogs, of course, to attack people and bite them. Specifically, the K9 units. And as you should know, a dog has quite the powerful jaw, and if it actually does bite you with the intention of harming and not just playing, it can do quite the nasty damage. Cats can too. Cats are not as powerful usually because, you know, they're smaller and not have much power, but they have very, very pointy, nasty little teeth, and those can really, I basically like mini ice picks or something. Getting one of those in your arm or something hurts. That's not going to do as much damage. Then an animal will, to some degree, understand, you know, if you train it a little bit, who is supposed to bite and who not. Otherwise, we would not be able to use K9 units. As if you just unleash the dog and the dog goes like, I turn around, there's something behind me that's closer. Yeah, it's not really a good option, is it now? It does require some training, but you can make dogs to be quite useful tools for warfare. However, we also then went ahead and tried stuff like making animals like dogs and cats, you know, equip a mine or something other that could be exploded and run towards tanks. With predictable problems, because some people, like the Russians for example, forgot the simple fact that different nations used different fuel for their vehicles, and since the dogs were trained going for the smell of their own fuel, the dogs immediately turned around and walked most happily waging tail towards their own tanks and exploded there. It's such a stupid oversight, isn't it? It's such a human thing to do. Still though, while I do find this particular nonsense fact quite amusing, let's not forget that it is still a very much cruel act to do that in any way, shape or form. It is absolutely not forgivable in any way to do that to an animal. Because, fuck that. Putting it mildly, fuck that indeed. You're really not supposed to do it. And I really think we should stop doing it. I'm not a fan of the K9 units as well, technically speaking. I don't really think we should specifically train dogs in that direction. There's no need for that any longer, basically. Yeah, that nonsense. Let's just say as soon as you involve animals, there were some rules about how you were supposed to be acting. You know, the whole reason why Germany wasn't so happy about employing snipers in the beginning of war was kind of because it was seen as dishonorable. Very dishonorable. Of course, you know, the rules kind of got a bit eased off in the upcoming years. But generally speaking, I do believe that unleashing animals, or misusing animals rather for that, is quite dishonorable. Shouldn't really do it. Oh yeah, right, we're actually getting close to that scene, don't we? Yes, we do. Actually, now that I think about it, this is actually a good example. See, these doors actually work the same way that most of the underground doors work. Usually the outer doors, or the door like this in Germany, that gives you access to some of the underground facilities. That would be with a normal lock and key, but most of the internal doors that you would find behind that are usually just... you just need to push on the door in a specific place, and then you can need to move the handle in a specific way, and then you can actually open the door. It's rather interesting, and it saves a lot of unnecessary keys that need to be carried around and potentially lost and all the other nonsense, but the outside doors would usually be requiring a fucking key. For good reason. You don't really want civilians to go in there. We don't know. I mean, I've never been a fan of the whole chipping animals. I get it. I get why you would do it. And I get the advantage, potentially, of having the option to find your pet if it actually gets lost. I get all of that. However, the same as I wouldn't want to have a chip under my skin, for any reason at that. And I don't really feel comfortable doing it to my pet. I do consider my pet to be at least somewhat having the same rights as me. So, you know, I don't want that for me, so I don't want it for my pet. I'll rather take the risk then, and if my pet at some point runs away and I can't find it again and it doesn't come back to me, okay, that's sad. But I still... No. I mean, I get it that we do a paper registration, you know, we're like, okay, look, I'll give you a picture of my kitty. We write down what it is, you know, what specific subspecies of cat it is and all of that. And you have a whole database of that, and if I lose my pet, I can call you and you go like, okay, we're gonna look all over the country for it. If somewhere in this fucking country somebody picks up a kitty and brings it to us, we'll check it, and if it's matching up with yours, we'll inform you. That's good. We're doing the same for people, when people are going missing, you know? No problem there. Getting a fucking chip under your skin? No. That is not true. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not trying to blame people for trying to be cautious, especially about their, what is at the end of the day their property, because that is how the law sees it. So you're free to do so. It's just that I personally feel uncomfortable with the choice, is basically what it is. In my personal opinion, you don't have to follow it, of course. Honestly, I'm not so hard-headed in this particular regard that I don't see that there are circumstances where you might even have a need to do it. So, no. I mean, my little kitty, you know, that little street urchin, basically, that I picked up randomly after he bit so hard into my hand that I couldn't just shake him off, you know. He was just dangling there. I didn't want it to let go. Man, that wound hurt for a long time. But that now. One of those little things, isn't it? Now then, time to go to the next dungeon. That's a blast from the past.
大切な後輩をよろしくね、スプリガンさん。